and John in some way. I mean, Sterling never loses. And he really doesn't lose. Whether it's his mind or not, you know, he just doesn't lose. He's always got an agenda that supersedes any event that might be being dealt with at that present moment. There's always something. There's always a long con. There's always a long game. There's always something. And I think it's brilliant. The reason Max, when my then 10-year-old was talking to John at the house, he goes, "I got a really good idea. Why don't you have like Elliot and Sterling fight?" And I'm like, oh. This is it's like the worst idea I have ever heard in my entire life. Because he loves Elliot. Elliot's the cool character, right? And I'm like, you don't care. So we were just talking about in the fight. It's the first thing that Max comes running in and goes, "Are you okay?" And I'm on the floor. He's like, "Are you okay, the Christian?" I'm like, "What is wrong with you?" But the reason why I think it was so fascinating is how do you have a guy that never loses a fight fighting a guy that never loses? And it's absolutely
by triggering.
and it's writers' conundrums. It's a testament to the intelligence of the writers that the more difficult the problem is, the more fun it seems to be for leverage, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it's always great to also find combinations. I mean, we knew that putting Sterling and Elliot together in a car was gold, and it was.
We came up with some potatoes that day.
Thank you. Hello, again. I had a question for Chris. Parker's character, before the show started, she seemed to be entirely invested in being a thief. It seems to be kind of what her life was about. But she constantly wears high heels in the show, and I just don't get why she does that. It looks like
she has an uncanny ability to do to climb walls like Spider-Man in high heels. Some of that will be evident in tomorrow's episode.
That's only if they're downloading it illegally.
I think flying back to that.
The opinions expressed on the page.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's the magic of television, and she's able to do some pretty amazing things in inappropriate footwear.
It's so cool. It's a brilliant thing. It's one of those great characters. Because she can.
Speaking of Dean and amazing things, I know he's used what John Rogers referred to as some Jedi mind tricks to acquire stuff for the show. Have you ever come up with anything that he hasn't been able to talk something into giving you for free?
Oh, who, you mean Dean?
Dean, yeah.
Oh, Dean. Well, we always talk about the Dean Kool-Aid. Dean can talk anyone into anything. You know, you know what? I can't really think of anything we wanted to do really badly that we didn't ultimately do. I mean, not off the top of my head. He is pretty amazing. As Mark said, the fact that he is producing the show himself is a miracle every week. It's just not something that happens in television anymore. Independent producers just don't exist. And, everyone told him he was crazy, and he proved them all wrong. So, that's Dean.
And he's a lot of fun. I mean, it's not that he's a lot of fun. He's an amazingly smart guy, a lot of fun. I mean, on our end, I mean, it bridges the world so perfectly. Yeah.
Well, I like the story about him getting you a baseball team.
Oh,
it's amazing.
The baseball team. Well, we had there's a beautiful minor league ballpark in Portland, and it's right near the hotel where all of us stay out there. Yeah, you walk there, and on weekends, while we were filming the show, season 2, we would just go to see these minor league games, and Dean kept saying, "We gotta do something with this ballpark." And by the end of the season, I came up with an idea for a con involving the baseball team, and we talked the whole team up there into letting us use the park, their uniforms, their players. It was fantastic, and we got, the scope of that episode you could not get, on a show with our budget.
Do that in LA. What's the logistics to do that in Los Angeles?
It would be impossible. You just couldn't do it.
So you literally ran the tag league, you literally stole the baseball team.
We literally stole the baseball team, with their permission.
They basically stole Portland. With the greatest respect to Portland, I mean, with Portland's consent, I think is the
I mean, the best example of that was, we did an episode where we, I believe it was the Top Hat job, where we dug a hole in a public park.
You can't do that.
Yeah, and it was like a big hole. I mean, it wasn't like just a little hole. And then we said, well, you know, we may need to film here again tomorrow. And they said, just throw a board over it. Okay.
Blowing up stuff downtown.
Well, we blow stuff up. How much do you want to blow up? It's fine with them. Can we film in your house? Sure, come on in.
You had the mayor's office. I mean,
oh, the mayor. The mayor left his office so that we could film at his desk and work like in the cafeteria. Absolutely.
It's the coolest place on earth. It really is one of the best places.
It's really great. If you guys ever are in the States, it's fantastic. Very European city. In a really good way.
It's clean. All the junkies in the itinerants are really polite. Excuse me, no, I didn't mean to bother you. It's a lovely place. Great food and great food.
Fantastic.
It's like the sort of if you want to rebel as a chef and you've worked in either Seattle or New York or San Francisco or LA, you disappear and you go to Portland and open a restaurant. So they have incredible food that's cheap.
And Mark knows he's a real foodie. That's maybe something you may not know about him.
Well, I don't get to drink anymore, so food's like my vice. But it's a great place to eat. You ever get a chance to go, you'd love it.
Hi, a question for each of you. Chris, you have some really good guest stars on the show. Do you have an idea, you know, when you're writing it, do you have an idea of who you'd like to play the part?
Well, I mean, you always have the idea, and then you have to settle for, you know...
Hold on, be nice.
I'm not going to go there. I mean, you know, I was on best example of, you know, how your hopes are dashed was I was on King of Queens, and we had a part once that we were trying to cast. And I don't know who they were trying to get. They were trying to get a celebrity to play themselves. It might even have been David Hasselhoff. And everybody said no. I mean, in the list, when you're starting at David Hasselhoff and everyone says no, you end up with. I think at one point we offered it to Scott Baio, and he wanted to have a creative meeting before he agreed to it. And that's when we felt like we're the worst show on earth. No one will do our show. And we eventually just cut the part. So, I mean, you start with kind of like lofty ideas and you never get them. The only exception to that is Danny Glover. I never in my wildest dreams would have thought we were going to get him for my episode, and that was fantastic.
Well, I was originally written in.
Who knew you were going to be on
yeah,
there?
that was the gag. But yeah. I didn't know.
Oh, you didn't know?
So I didn't know. It was like, I was going to Sturgis on my motorcycle. And it was like, so what's your availability like? So what am I auditioning for? I said, no audition, just want to know your availability. It was like, Thursday, okay, so you're on a show now. I'm arriving at the set, and the only person I know is Christian. So he's like, hey buddy, how you doing? I'm like, great to see you. So what's going on? It's like, and Dean's like, I've never met Dean, but I've got friends who are really close with Dean, Adam Baldwin, etc. Like, really close with Dean. And Dean's saying, great to have you. So you want to play in English or Irish? I'm like, okay, I think I'm playing Sterling. Has to be English, I guess. Okay, great. And then we went straight into the end scene from Two Horse Show.
Right, that's a really good scene.
It was like, you know, throw in at the deep end. But they kind of, you know, you get the sense that they kind of know what they want, and they kind of know how precious a thing it is. And as I said, there's not enough money and not enough time. And the stuff that goes really, really well on the show that I've experienced, having been around a little while with the show, is the people that embrace it and have a passion for it. It works out so well, doesn't it? Like Jerry Ryan.
Absolutely.
I mean, amazing. There's been amazing people on the show, from Saul all the way through. I mean, there's great actors, great guest stars on the show, and if they get it and they enjoy it, it becomes something that we all enjoy as fans, you know?
And just to add one thing, I think the best approach to any of these, when you have sort of one of these big parts, is to get the best actor. and not worry about getting a name. I mean, that's I think that's when you go down this sort of bad road.
Mark, where are you going to be at Christmas? Are you going to be in America?
I'm not going to answer that. What are you, a policeman?
I was just wondering, will you be illegally downloading the Doctor Who Christmas special?
There's a screening in Islington in 72 hours, if you really must know. But we'll see if I actually get to stick around for that or not. But I was invited, were you? Well, go back to your illegal downloading of all the television shows that you watch. Come on, listen, I'm actually doing an article right now for Huffington Post. Because, as I said, I've travelled the world, and you know, fans of the fans. We're all fans of what it is that we love. What season are we on of Supernatural in England?
6.
Right, we're on season 6. 5 in Belgium, 6, and we're in season 7 in America, right?
Yeah.
Leverage. What season are we on?
2.
Look at that. Nobody even can agree on it.
2.
Right.
One at a time. What? Calm down. What in England?
2.
Okay, and then what in Belgium? 1. Well, it's Belgium, isn't it? Germany's what? 2. Right, so here's the thing. We all know you download. Otherwise you'd never see the show, right? The issues that we're having with it is, of course, the powers that be, the people who you're supposed to be paying for that privilege, haven't really worked out a way of monetizing it correctly. It's this very hard thing. And the one thing that we've noticed is, it's not the most common thing. There's more people watching it that don't download it than do download it, especially illegally. But of the people, such as the people, not yourselves of course, but people that you know, the people that are downloading it are also watching it on TV and buying the DVDs.
Yes.
Go to the extent, now you go to New Zealand, you go to Australia, they changed the laws there. There are now downloading laws. 3 strikes if you're caught downloading. You can be fined up to $15,000 for illegally downloading content. And you're now talking about, to be a fan, you have to work incredibly hard to do it. And then these are people who are buying 3 versions, 2, 3 versions of the show in some form or another, either watching it on ATV, or most of you are having to get it on cable, right? It's all cable, good shows, right? Isn't that the most incredible thing?
Yeah. I mean, you know, John Rogers, my co-creator of the show, has very strong opinions along with what you just said.
It's not me, by the way, they're going for the photo session.
But yeah, it's true. I mean, you're building fans, and that's the most important thing.
It's but it's amazing that I'll travel the world, and it's the unifying factor is that they will work so hard to make sure they know what's going on the show. We really appreciate it. Bye. Whose photo op is it? Who cares about that? Get back here! Bloody hell. You've seen him before. So what? I'm on new shows all the time. At least 3 new questions a month. What show would you really like to be on that you haven't been on?
Hiya, me again.
Hey.
What show would you like to be on?
What show would you like to be on that you haven't been on?
What show would you like to write for?
Yeah.
You know, I always, and it's a show you were on, I always wanted to do an episode of 24. I love 24. I thought that was a great show. There's a sort of leveragey 24 that might be kicking around someday.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. You were great on that show.
Thank you so much.
You were named after a executive that they didn't like.
They hate it. I know, it's brilliant. I'm always given, there's a conspiracy amongst my friends who are writers to either give me names of their friends or to work out whether I can have an ethnic name that in no way could fit me in any shape or form. Tanaka. I mean, it's like some brilliant ones. So, but let's get this.
You were Erwick.
I'm an Erwick, but Erwick was the guy at Fox, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a Fox executive. I think he killed one of my pilots. So yeah!
But I played you. I'm the only person that's played Chris Downey on television.
Actually, that was just a joke question. My actual question was about Dean.
Too late. Anyway, so thanks.
Anyway, he's got a Filipino background, and I'm from Filipino. And I was just wondering, he has some Filipino pride still, right? And I was wondering if he's introduced the Filipino food to you guys at all on set.
You know, no, but I know that he is very active in the Filipino community, in the film community, and he's, you know, very proud of his heritage. He talked a lot about his family and their involvement in World War II, and I mean, yeah, he's a proud Filipino American.
Yeah.
Well, just tell him when you get back to let you try balot.
I'll try to remember that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm from Sweden, so my English sucks.
Jävla gamla galash.
So we downloaded this.
No, don't say that.
Yeah, we did. Because we don't have the show in Sweden.
Oh.
So,
Wow, not at all.
No, not
It's
at
called
all.
Dean.
Wow, okay.
No show in
that.
Sweden.
No. And my son is 10, he loves it. My daughter thinks it's too little romance, you know.
Oh. Fix it.
Yeah. Some hot sex scene or something.
I think Sterling is in for a nice sex scene.
Yeah, it's overdue, isn't it?
Yeah?
But it's a nice show.
Sterling and Elliot.
Well, that...
She lost it in the second row there. She lost it.
What do you call them in England? Bend for a friend, as you say it?
Which?
Bend over and let me show you or something.
Packed in Sweden and doesn't figure in England. The land of Strindberg. Suicide in Strindberg.
Hi again. Mark, quick question. Of all the episodes you've done from season 1, season 2, season
You know she's Irish, right?
Yeah, I got it.
yeah. Which has been your favourite episode to work on? Most enjoyable?
Of Leverage. They're all really good for different reasons. I mean, they were all really good for different reasons. The 2 Horse Job was great because it was the first thing we ever did. The 2-parter at the end of 1 was fantastic just because of the scope of it. It was so big and so much fun. I think, because it's so much fun, I really like, the parts I like to do best in Leverage are the heavy stuff, because it's rare that that comes in, where it's the really dark parts, the really sort of, the sad bits, and it's a lot to do with the relationship between the stuff between me and Tim. And the most fun I've had so far is me and Chris sitting in a car. I mean, it's just with Frakes directing finally, which we hadn't done before, and he literally turned the camera. There's got to be an hour's worth of outtakes of that stuff, which is just hysterical.
We got to put that on the DVD.
Oh, absolutely. It's so much fun.
I can tell you my favorite scene I wrote of you, which I haven't written a lot. It was season 1, and you were I can say this, we had you contractually obligated for 3 episodes.
Right.
And we were running out of time.
Right.
And we had an episode we were about to film, which was the 12-step job. And you were available. But there was no part for Sterling in the episode. And I remember we were filming in LA and at the time, and Dean Devlin walked into our office, and myself and Amy Burr were writing the episode. And he came in and he said, "Sterling is a hallucination." And he walks out the door. And Dean Devlin will do stuff like that. I mean, that's the Kool-Aid. And then we looked at each other and we thought, that's great. And we wrote the scene, I think, like almost in real time. The 2 of us wrote it in about a half hour, and we set it out to set. And Rod
directed it.
Yeah, Rod Hardy directed, fantastic director. And I just love it, and it just adds so much to the episode that you
Because
appear to him as a hallucination.
It pinned the DTs so much.
Yes.
It pinned the fact that, you know, that whole thing of like you suddenly realise it's 24 hours in and he hasn't had a drink.
Yes.
And I'm what happens here. And I think, and that's what made that so much fun, was the addition of the glass, which became the totem that we hand backwards and forwards. When he's in my office at the beginning of season 2, he's drinking out of that same glass, and he leaves that glass with me. And we do this thing backwards and forwards, and the shots and Queen's Gambit, it's always because Sterling doesn't drink, and Nate does. And the whole thing is, I think that one of the main things that Sterling dislikes so intensely about Nate, John always says, I think each would concede that the other would come a close second in any circumstance. But what it is about Nate that I think Sterling finds so offensive is however smart Nate is, he's a drunk. And that's his fatal flaw, and he doesn't enjoy that part of it at all. So he's always bringing him a drink, and he's always saying, this is your problem, this is your issue, this is what you do. And Nate's either always drinking at him or including him in. I mean, it's a really clever, interesting, odd, uncomfortable dynamic that they play through. So.
And the scenes, you do a lot of the heavy scenes with him. When you're doing them, are you know, trying to out-act each other, or is there a bit of rivalry there? Or is
it doesn't work like that. It's a joy to do. I was almost in tears when we did the stuff in the upstairs at the kitchen table at the end of season 2.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
It's because it's really sad. You know, it's really, really sad. And the stuff outside the Ferrari, as we were talking about, it's really hard to look at somebody that you really believe is somebody that you know really well and say, I'm going to have to put you in jail, I'm going to have to do this, or I'm going to have to do that. It's not a personal thing. And you don't out-act Timothy Hutton. It's not the way it works. You just show up and you give everything you got, whatever it is. He shows up and he gives it everything he's got, whatever it is, and that's what makes it so special, that's what makes it so fun. As do everybody else on that set. I mean, that's as light as the show can be, and as gentle as the show can be, and as much fun as it is. You've got to remember that every one of these people can act really well. And that's what makes it so much fun.
Great, thanks very much.
And we've got time for one more. Yeah.
Okay, I came
We'll
up
get the
here.
two of you now. Can we get the two of them now? Absolutely.
I came up here with a question for Mark, but I think I'm going to scrap that.
Skip, fire away.
So I'm a tracker. That was what I was going to ask Mark. And you have had, I don't know how many Star Trek actors on the show.
More than I could name. I think one episode we had 5 of them.
Yeah.
Armin and
yes, exactly.
Brent and
yes, Armin and
directed by Frakes.
Yes, and the juror number 6 job.
Yeah. I was just wondering, are there any other Star Trek actors that you want to include in the Star Trek family?
Sure.
Shatner.
Shatner would be great. I think he just did an episode of Psych, playing himself, I think. Sure, we're all big Trek fans on the show. And we would love to have any of them. I mean, Patrick Stewart would be fantastic. You know,
I have to get my dad.
Oh, sure, absolutely. So we're, you know, we're always open to it.
So like 4 casts of Star Trek. Yeah, I think 4 casts. Yeah, 4 casts of Star Trek. It's a lot of different stuff.
Wow.
Thank you.
Right. And our last one.
Hi, I was wondering, how soon do you guys know that what you're writing, what you're producing is working for the audience? I mean, is it literally first season, take a punt and see whether or not we survive, or are you getting feedback during that first season?
Well, I mean, you know, it's a brutal Darwinian struggle, network television, and it's numbers. I mean, you know, we all think of ourselves as artists, but it's a business, and at the end of the day, the networks need to sell advertising, and they have to guarantee a certain number of people are looking at their advertising. Otherwise, nobody gets paid, and we don't get to make the show. So, you know, when you get the ratings, it's there in black and white, whether or not the show is successful or not. And I'm not one of those people that says that the network is obligated to keep a show on even though nobody's watching it because it's a good show and it deserves to be seen by some small number of people. You know, we respect that they have you know, a job to do, and that's what makes the show go. So, you know, you look at the ratings and you know whether you're, you know, you have a pretty good idea of whether you're going to make it. And we have been fortunate that we've grown every year. We've been on TV in America and I guess abroad too. You know, hopefully we'll just continue to grow as well.
And while you're working on it, do you have to make sure you stay away from any of the fan sites or any of the people who are buying into the show? I mean, is it a bit like with a novelist where they have to stay away from, otherwise the fans' world encroaches on what you're planning?
No, I think we're in an incredible time right now where, as a writer or actor or, you know, performer, you get this feedback from fans that you never got before. But at the same time, you need to make a show that you want to make and that speaks to you and not be, you know, and not serve the fans, but serve yourself. And if you write a show that is honest and true and is something that you would like to see and you put it out there, you'll be successful. So I mean, I think it's important to hear what people think about the show, but also to be true to yourself when you make it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much.